Hey people, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining. In this session, we are going to learn about how to plot the X bar and S chart. So X bar and S chart stand for average and standard deviation, where your subgroup size ranges from 8 to 15, which means you have the individual data. Instead of plotting individual data, you are making a subgroup of that around minimum 8, more than 15. Because as per statistics, to calculate the standard deviation, or I'll say reliable standard deviation, we should have at least minimum 8 and not more than 15 sample, right? This is what we do. So how do we plot? Let's generate the data. So data we will be having here. Maybe let's say you have the machine wise. You are running production and you have multiple machine. So you have the machine 1, maybe you have the machine 2, you have like this only different machines in the production. Let's say these are the machine. Altogether, I have 10 machine. So at the end of the day, suppose you have the data collected for these machines, assuming here is the days, and days 1, it's a day 1, you have the day 2, or maybe day 3, like this. All right. And now at the end of the day, what are you looking for? You are trying to plot the average of the day for all machine included together. Let's say number of days I am taking here. Suppose you have, let's say 2 months of data. So 60 days data you have total. Now you wanted to generate some number of, let's say, production. So per day per machine on an average, let's say producing around maybe let's say 50 pieces minimum and not more than 75 pieces. Or let's say 75 are too much, maybe we'll make it to 60. 50 to 60 is the production. Now we generate this data for all the 10 machines and for all the 60 days. So this data is generated here, right? Now what we will be plotting, if I look for this data, so at the end of the day, what we are going to plot? We are going to plot the average of all of these 10 machines for all the 60 days and the standard deviation. So average of this data is equal to average, and here we go. So this is your day 1 average was 56.1 pieces. With the variation, if you calculate standard deviation, stdev dot s, and the standard deviation of this data is 2.08. And now the similar way I do calculate this for all the days, and I'll get here. All right. Now, here we go. So I will copy paste this data. So the average of all the 10 days will be plotted here, and the variation out of these 10 days will be plotted in the form of standard deviation here. So I copy and paste this data in the mini tab. Let's say I paste this data in this tab, and I wanted to plot a control chart. So what menu will be following? We'll go to the stat, control chart for subgroup, and here is the X bar and S chart. Click on this. Now, all observation are in one column? No, observation are in one subgroup, which are in the one row of the column. And these are my 1 to 10 machines. We'll go to the X bar S option, go to the test, and you will perform all the tests for the special cause of variation. So test number 1, in case any data point is going outside the plus or minus 3 standard deviation from the center line, then the rule number 1 will fail. There is a special cause of variation. Rule number 2, if there are 9 data points in a row, they are on the same side of center line, either below the average or above the average, then continuously 9 data points, then the rule number 2 will fail. Rule number 3, if you have 6 data points, all either are increasing or decreasing order, so then rule number 3 will fail. Rule number 4, you have 14 data points in a row, they are alternating up and down, which means zigzag they are making continuously 14 data points, then the rule number 4 will fail. Rule number 5, if you have any 2 data point out of 3 and they are going outside the 2 standard deviation from the center line means average line here. So then rule number 5 will fail. Rule number 6, if you have 4 out of 5 data point, which means 4 data point out of the 5 on the same side, these 4 should be on the same side of the center line, and they are outside the 1 standard deviation, then the rule number 6 will fail. Rule number 7, if you have the 15 data point in a row and they are very close to center line, which means they are not going, any of these 15 is not going outside the 1 standard deviation, then the rule number 7 will fail here. Opposite to that, rule number 8, if you have 8 data point in a row and they are going outside the 1 standard deviation from the center line, all the 8 data point either side, then the rule number 8 will fail. Basis on that, we plot the control chart. If I look here, click on OK, and I click OK. And here is my data. So what did we observe here? There are test number 1 fail at the point which is going outside the 3 standard deviation, which is point number 17 here. You can see there is a red color dot, right? So rule number 1, and 2 out of 3, which is the test number 5 fails when you have the 1 data point, where is 2 data point outside the 2 standard deviation. So we can plot the standard deviation limit of the 1 and 2 as well. So if you want to see like 2 standard deviation, for that what you will do, go to the S options, go to the limits, and here you type 1 space 2. So on both the charts, it will plot the 1 as well as 2 standard deviation limit. You click on OK and click on OK, and here we go. So you can see now, this is your average value here in the center line. This side your +1 standard limit, and this is -1 standard limit. This side -2 standard limit, this side +2 standard limit. And you can see here that these 2 data point are out of 3 outside the 2 standard deviation of the center line. That's how it is showing. And that's why it's the rule number 5 is failing here. And this is the way we plot the XVAR and S chart. Thank you so much, people. And I'll see you in the next session.